we we were talking about the merits and demerits of the communication tools, modern communications tool. So here we have discussed in the mobile apps. Now we'll be discussing about the collaborative communication. So what are the merits of collaborative communication? Let's see. When we talk about project management tools, it centralized project tasks, deadlines, and communication. It also enhances collaboration and accountability, integrates with other tools for a streamlined workflow. Right. So, project management tool here is that it prioritize and centralize your tasks, and everybody meets with the deadline, and there is effective communication. It enhances team efforts and productivity. It integrates with other tools to streamline workflow. The demerits are it helps in learning curves for new users. It can be difficult for new users to adapt it, can be complex and overwhelming with too many features, as it has too many features, so it can be complex for a new user. It requires regular updates and active participation, right? So we can say the demerit over here is that it requires regular updates and active participation. So it might not be possible to get updated every day or on a regular practice, right? So it can be a demerit to it. Next we talk about in collaboration communication is collaborative documents merits. So when we talk about collaborative document merits, we talk about it allows real-time collaboration and editing. It allows real-time collaboration and editing, supports comments and version history, also supports comments and version history. It enhances productivity and teamwork. The collaborative document merits are that it allows real-time collaboration and editing. It supports comments and version history. It also enhances productivity and teamwork. Right. The demerits of these types of communication tool is that it has security risk, as cyber attacks are always there. So it has there is a cyber issue over there that the sensitive information may not get shared. The potential for document conflict, if there will be documentationally conflict if it is not managed well, and it requires proper internet access for full functionality, right? Without proper internet connection, we cannot function it well, right? So let's see the next. The next in this is intranet and extranet, right? We'll be talking about the merits of intranet and extranet. So we were discussing about the merits and demerits of intranet and extranet. So as we can see, intranet or extranet, it is centralized platform for internal communication, and extranet is for external communication and resources gathering. So it enhances the collaboration with the external partner, and also tells about each and every update to the internal employees who are working within an organization. It also secures and controlled access to information, right? So there is no issue of cyber attacks, as it is secured. So the demerits over here can be that it is costly, as its setup is very costly, and maintenance is also expensive. It requires regular updates and management, and it has a very limited accessibility outside the organization's network. So the demerit here can be that the very limited accessibility of outside information is there. So it might get difficult for you to read more information about the outside environment, right? So this was the demerit of intranet, extranet. Let's see the other demerits of other tools. So now we'll be talking about the demerits of visual communication, as we have done intranet, extranet, and the other communication. We'll be talking about the demerits of visual communication. So the demerits and merits of visual communication over here are that when we talk about visual communication, there is infographics, right? When we talk about infographics, as it is very impactful and has a very strong message, people can easily memorize it, and it also helps in engaging the audience. So it presents complex information very quickly and easily, and also very clearly. So it is useful for marketing and educational purpose. The demerit over here is it requires design skills to create effectively, right? To create effectively very strong communication effect. So sometimes design skills are missing over here. It can oversimplify complex topics as they use text, visuals, and audio. So sometimes it might happen they can oversimplify it, right? So it can be a demerit as the topic will lose its important and very, we can say, strong content, right? It may not be accessible visually impaired individuals. So it for visually impaired people, it can be a demerit as they won't be able to go through it or to access it visually. Next is presentation merits. Then we talk about presentation in visual communication after infographics. So when we talk about presentation, the merits are that it is very effective for visual storytelling and conveying information. And at the same time, it also engages the audience during meetings and lectures. So the tools where which can be used are Prezi for presentation and PowerPoint, and there are too many softwares nowadays which you can use for creating presentations. You can also take the help of artificial intelligence as well to design a very effective templates, right? The demerits of this, it is very time consuming as we have to prepare the content, and there are a risk of overloaded slides with too much of information over the slides, and is dependent, or also the dependency is on the presenter who is going to present the slides effectively. So the dependence on presentation skills is also a demerit, because if there is a presenter, is a speaker or a presenter is not possessing a very good communication or presentation skills, then your content may not be delivered accordingly. So it can be a limitation to it. Next is virtual reality and augmented reality. When we talk about virtual reality and augmented reality, the demerits and merits over here is that virtual reality provides very interactive and immersive experience, and it is useful for training, simulations, and product demonstrations, right? So, training and simulation here means for training, simulation is for artificial working or creating artificial work environment, and for giving a product demo, right? The demerits can be it requires a very specialized equipment and software. It must have high development cost. It is have a very high development cost as it is very much in trend, very popular and expensive technology. So it requires huge costs. And it is the accessibility of this particular technology is limited for all users, right? Like everyone cannot use it unless and until they are very much informed about it, they are expert in the particular area. So to operate such technology, a person has to have a proper knowledge and accessibility education of it, right? So it can be a demerit. Next comes is audio communication. When we talk about audio communication, it includes podcast. So the first is podcast. When we talk about the merits of podcast, it is convenient for the ongoing listening, right? Like you are traveling somewhere and you want to have something very motivational. You can go through the motivational podcast You can hear, you can listen it, not hear it. Listen to it very carefully. It helps to engage the audience with informative or entertaining content. It also helps to produce with minimum equipment, right? Not very much thing is required. You just have to need a mic and a recorder where you can have a good quality of voice can be recorded, right? So it is very convenient for listening while traveling or when you are free, when you have a leisure time, you can listen to some entertaining and informating content, and it will not require too much of equipments. The demerits here can be it requires consistent content production to maintain audience. Competition for listeners' attention can be high and limited visual engagement. As there is only audio, so visual engagement is very much limited. And a competition for listener, like if your listener is not attentive, then there is no use of podcast because he is not an active listener. He is only listening to the selective information, or he may not be listening to anything. He may switch to another thing. So it can be a demerit, and it requires we can say frequent or consistent, not frequent, but a consistent content production so as to engage your audience. You must give some or other informative or entertaining stuff or content to your audience to tap them or to retain them, right? Next comes is the voice notes. Here the merits of voice notes is it conveys tones and feedbacks quickly. It is convenient for sending quick message, useful for personal as well as professional communication. So it is very easy. We use in our day-to-day life also, in our personal lives also, and in our at our workplace as well. So it is used for immediate feedback, right? And the message can be spread quickly. The demerits can be it can be disruptive in noisy environments if there is some hindrance or there is some noise over there in the environment. So it might not be created properly. Not always suitable for detailed information. Like you can send a voice notes for a short message. You cannot use it for a very subjective purpose, right? And it may require transcription for documentation, right? So as there is no documentation, so it is a demerit to it also. When we are talking about professional settings, we must require everything in writing. There should be a proper documentation of everything, right? Next comes is voice assistance. So the merits of voice assistance over here is that these are hand-free communication and information retrieval is very easy. Enhances accessibility for users with disability. They can use it very comfortably without being into stress about their disabilities, as they are free to use it. Integrates with smart home devices. It doesn't require any very heavy devices or something like that. It can easily integrate with small devices at home, which are smart enough. So demerits here can be a privacy and security concerns are always at risk with your voice data. It may not understand your accents or your speech pattern. It is dependent on internet completely. So you have to make sure that that at your home you must have a good connectivity, internet connectivity, and at your workplace also, because it is totally dependent on internet. If you are not having a good internet connectivity, then you might suffer, right? Your messages cannot be transferred. So you have to give a close check on the internet connectivity as well, right? Next comes is unified communication and collaboration. When we talk about unified communication and collaboration, here comes integrated platform merits. That means we combine all the multiple channels and there is a single interface, right? Cisco WebEx, right? So the merits of these platforms are this, that it centralizes multiple communication tools in a single interface, and it enhances workflow efficiency and collaboration. It reduces the need for switching between different tools. You don't have to switch between different tools, as all tools are combined over there, right? So these were the merits. Now coming to the demerits of integrated platform, it can be complex to set up and manage, right? So it can be complex to set up and manage the, we can say, entire communication scenario. So it may require training for effective use. Without training, you cannot use it. It is dependent on a single platform, and if it fails, the entire communication will disrupt. So the dependency is on a single platform is a very big demerit and has a very complex setup. So it requires to manage well. So if maintenance is not good, so the single interface may not work properly, and if it fails, the total communication will get hampered, right? Next comes is the cloud communication. When we talk about cloud communication, it includes cloud telephony merits. So here the merits are cost-effective phone service over the internet. So it is not very much expensive. Everyone can afford it. It is scalable for all size of business, like all size of business can use it, and also enhances mobility and remote work capabilities, right? So it is helpful for remote working capabilities, and we can carry it also. It is easily, we can say it is mobile to carry. So it is very much easy in carrying. It is portable, and it is very helpful for remote working locations and capabilities. Next comes as demerits. It is totally dependent on internet, as we are talking about cloud. So obviously it is totally dependent on, we are talking about modern communication, and all the forms of modern communication are mostly based on internet only. So internet connectivity is a major drawback if you are not having a good connectivity. Potential security and privacy concerns are over there, as there is a lot of cyber attacks, there are cyber crimes. So the hacking or the phishing attacks are very common. And if have to, you must have a cyber security technique or strategy to protect your data, right? So it can face quality issues with unstable connectivity or internet. If the net is not, if there is not a proper internet connection, then there might be some quality issues also, right? Next is cloud storage and file sharing. So when we talk about cloud storage, easy sharing and collaboration, accessible from anywhere with an internet connection, reduces the need for physical storage. So this is the merit of the cloud storage. When we talk about demerit, it includes security risks with sensitive data, dependent on internet access, potential for data loss or breaches, right? So there is always a risk, as I already mentioned, cyber attacks are there, cyber crimes are there. So we have to make sure our data is safe, and the confidential information is not attacked, right? Next comes is asynchronous communication, the discussion board merits. So here comes the asynchronous communication, which are not a real-time communication. So here the merit is it allows users to post messages and respond at their convenience. So what happened here is in asynchronous communication, it allows users to post and respond to their convenience. It facilitates thoughtful and detailed discussions, also useful for community building and knowledge sharing. Demerits here is it can be slow for urgent matters. It requires active moderation to prevent spam and abuse, may lead to fragmented conversation. So demerit here can be that it can be slow, as it delay the feedbacks, delay the response, so urgent matters may not be addressed on time. So there is a chance of active moderation to spam. Your mails may be too much of mails might be there, so it may move towards the spam folders, and so in this case the employee is not able to access those folders, right? So it also may lead to fragmented conversations in different parts, and so it also the consequences can of this can be that into delayed decision making. Next comes email and newsletter. So effective information is distributed. It allows personalized and customized content. It is totally based on subscription based, as the person who is going to take subscription will receive the information. And demerits is it can lead to email overload, risk of spam, and requires regular content production. So these are the demerits of newsletter. Moving towards the next is real time communication. When we talk about real time communication, it includes live chat. So, live chat merits over here is it provides instant communication with support agents. Like these support agents are always there to address your query. It enhances customer satisfaction with quick response, as immediate feedback is being provided by the agents to the chat in the chat to the customer. So it enhances the customer satisfaction. It can be integrated in